Hi, my name is Linton Ye. I'm a developer and I love design. A few years ago, I built a website called Learn React Design. I've since met many designers who are passionate about code. I've witnessed how they got started and what they have created. It's always a source of inspiration and motivation for me. However, as you know it, the learning curve of React could be daunting. You have to know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript beforehand, and then there's still a lot more to learn. Is it actually worth the time and effort to learn React as a designer? So I decided to step out of my bubble and ask real designers this question. Has learning React actually improved their workflow as a designer? What is the return of the investment here, really? So in the next 9 minutes or so, I'm going to show you many quotes and examples, and of course, my own opinions. To my delight, people were excited to share with me how they use React in their work. As you can see, the benefits can be found across many different stages of design, from user testing to creating design systems to building micro-interactions to collaborating with developers in general. And of course, I've also heard some voices from the other side. To be clear, they're absolutely right about the learning curve. For someone who's new to code, it definitely requires walking out of the comfort zone and spending weekends and nights. I hope to really convince you that React is a totally reachable option in a designer's toolbox. It's actually not as hard as you might think. And agree, of course, it's a long journey. But believe it or not, you can start reaping benefits even from the very beginning without touching a line of code. Let me show you what I mean. Let's get started with the designer's favorite tool, Figma. In Figma, we can select any frame and turn it into a component. When we make copies of a component, we'll get its instances. When we update the main component, its instances get automatically updated. It's a big time saver. Figma also has this concept of variants, which allows us to add custom properties to a component. That way, we could easily switch between different flavors of a component. So if you understand components and variants in Figma, congratulations, you already know two important concepts in React, components and their props. They're based on the same idea. What you see in Figma is just a visualization. Here's a neat trick I learned during the interviews. We can put a component inside another component. Once we update the base component, all the variants of the button components are automatically updated. Without this trick, we will have to manually update each and every variant in the button component. This is a concept of a composition in React. Make new components with existing components. We can nest them as many times as we want. When a component is updated, anything that includes it gets automatically updated. In Framer, we can go a bit deeper. We can pass data to subcomponents. Here, this roof color is a prop on the house component. When we change its value, the data flow down to the color prop of the roof component. The door color prop works in a similar way. We can do all this in Framer without writing any code. So this is how components exchange data in React. Again, what you see in Framer is just a visualization of the same idea. Understanding these features in design tools and the ideas behind has profound benefits. It not only allows us to, of course, design more efficiently, but also more importantly, it makes it so much easier to have conversations with engineers because we have the same mental model. Let me show you some real-world examples I found during the interviews. Miguel created this cool design kit for Visual Studio Code. We can switch the entire thing between dark and the light mode with a single toggle on the properties panel in Figma. Sue and Chris suggested that Figma should have a use context feature. And this is a conversation between two designers, and I'm sure a React developer will be able to get it right away. Ward used the principles of React to guide the creation of a design system. He used the uniform component structure inspired by React. This minimizes the discrepancies throughout the process of design to development. And components in Figma become components in Framer prototypes and the React components in development. As you can see, there are many shared ideas between design tools and code. They are rapidly converging. The great news is that it's not just the design tools moving one way, try to look like code. Code is moving towards design as well. React is a notable example. Components and the declarative nature of React make it so much similar to how designers think about UI. That is why we can find a direct relationship between the concepts in React and the features in design tools. With modern design tools, we can go a long way without writing code. Once we have a mental model which matches that of engineers, it'll be relatively straightforward to move to code. However, historically, a lot of setup is required to even get started with code. This definitely is a big hurdle for beginners. Fortunately, there are tools that make things a lot easier for designers. For example, Figma provides a nice middle ground. We are still mostly in a familiar design tool environment, and when needed, we can jump into the code editor, which has a nice preview window and click and pick features. When we are done, we can just go back to design. Because Figma is based on React, it turns out to be a really nice learning environment for designers who want to get started with code. I'm always amazed by what people can create after some committed learning, even if they did not have any prior programming experience. Another interesting tool is Playroom. Playroom allows us to design with JSX tags. It's a good way to map the mental model of nested components to its corresponding textual form. We get to exercise the syntax of JSX and experiment with different combinations of components in our design system. Because it's backed by the codified design system, designers and developers speak the same language. The code written in the design stage can often be directly used in development, at least as a very accurate reference. Personally, I think it's a great use of time for designers to learn some code in these tools. It empowers you to add more value as a designer. Maybe you can sprinkle some code onto your design to put an idea into action, or maybe you can jump into the production code and adjust some props and styles to make the product look perfect. Sooner or later, you'll be excited to find out that the next level is no longer so far away. This is exactly what happened with Inho. He started prototyping in Figma, then came to realize that he could do a lot more. Nowadays, he builds prototypes with Gatsby, Tailwind CSS, and Figma Motion. Engineers directly reuse his animation code. Everybody works a lot more efficiently. And this is a very interesting example I found regarding user testing. So the site was built with Gatsby, so it's a real app that uses real data, except that there's no backend, of course. Because the experience is so realistic, the user was able to spot problems and make constructive suggestions, for example, adding an entirely new map layer. This is the kind of user testing that we want to carry out. Only a very high fidelity prototype will be able to do the job. Being familiar with code means that you would have more tools at your disposal. It opens up a new world of creativity. You can create your own responsive portfolio site, or you can build tools to help yourself and other designers work more efficiently. Or you can explore the intersection of motion, graphics, and code. With the mindset of always willing to try something new, you will unlock so many possibilities. You can get creative in making your work and life a lot easier. You will be able to add a whole new level of value as a designer. To recap, design and code are converging. It's never been a better time for a designer to learn React and code in general. Whether you take advantage of the components and variants on your artboard, or sprinkle some code onto your design to make it live, or go all the way in to build high-fidelity prototypes in React, you'll be able to reap the benefits at every level. The end result is a streamlined design workflow, seamless collaboration with engineers, and better products into users' hands in a shorter time. Of course, we cannot pretend that the learning curve does not exist, right? Like learning any new skills, it requires conviction and hard work to learn React. The good news is that you are not alone in this journey. There are many designers like you who want to learn code and many developers like me who want to learn design. So for a long time, I have been dreaming of an open community for us to learn from each other and grow together. So I wanted to give it a try. Check out this website, Unicorn Academy XYZ. For now, it just points to a Discord server, but I wanted to kickstart the discussion. Just hop on and ask me any questions about React, Figma, or anything related to design and development. So I will definitely try my best to help you. Or you can just come on board to help other designers and developers as well. And the important thing is that let's build this community together. Last but not least, I would like to thank these awesome designers who have generously shared their opinions with me. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the conference.